She is the interim president and chief operating officer of the three-time WNBA champion Los Angeles Sparks. We welcome Natalie White onto Hoopsology. How's it going, Natalie?
It's great. It's great. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. And Natalie, one of the first questions we like to ask all of our guests is, when did you first fall in love with the game of basketball? Like, what was your first memory with the game? What really caught your eye?
Oh, I thought you was getting ready to say, when did I first fall in love with hip hop?
You can answer that too. I'm a huge fan of hip
No,
hop as well.
yeah, it just reminded me of the movie. But yeah, I would say that I started playing basketball when I was 5 years old. So I guess my first love started at five. But it was when I was in the fifth grade is when I really um, truly started thinking about college. I knew I was going to go to college and play basketball. So age five. So started very young.
And what kind of like specific memories do you have of maybe just the NBA? Was it like college basketball? Was it professional? Any figures that kind of caught your eye? Any kind of I don't know, athletes that you looked up to, that you modeled your game, since you had a pretty successful college career as well?
Well, I would say growing up, it was more so my family. I
Okay.
come from a very athletic background, and I always had my aunt Maxine Cherry, who played basketball in college, and I used to follow her around everywhere. And she actually was my high school basketball coach. But basically, she's the one that first put a basketball in my hand, and along with my late cousin Dexter Marshall. So it started out very young, and then as I got acclimated and learning the game because they really wanted to teach me not just about just my skill sets, and because that was natural God-given talent, but knowing the game really increased my basketball IQ at a young age. And then as I progressed in high school and college, and just start watching, I remember just the '96 Olympic team. Huge was a huge Don Staley fan prior to us meeting. Now we're good friends. So it was just Don Staley was because I was a point guard. So Don Staley was one player that I truly admired. But then it goes back to history. Lynette Woodard. Some of the older players that I would see. Playing on TV. But really, I would say I just love watching basketball. So Tim Hardaway was one. That's why I chose number 10 to wear in college. I was three in high school. So basically, I just love the game, and I watch men's, women's basketball. It didn't matter.
Can you kind of talk about that 1996 team? I just think I remember watching that team like it was yesterday, and I
hmm
feel like a lot of younger fans, they maybe lost the time, but that's a very influential team, and I feel like, in my humble opinion, one of the most important just sports teams in general, not just pertaining to basketball. Can you got put in a context for maybe our younger viewers that maybe weren't around for the 1996 Olympics? Just how important that women's team was, especially because the Olympics were in Atlanta. It was in the home country of the United States, and that's how the WNBA really were the precursors to how the league got started. You got to put in the context how important that Olympic team was.
Yeah, I would say that those women who were on that team, Lisa Leslie, Dawn Stilly, and all of them, they really set the tone and were the pioneers to really putting women's basketball on the map in that showcase. They were, to me, the original dream team because it just provided so many opportunities for young girls to say, hey, wow, I want to play in the Olympics. I want to be like them. They were strong. They were fast. They were beautiful, women, outspoken, not afraid, unapologetically. They just got out there on the court and they were very fierce. So it got a lot of people's attention, and obviously, having it in Atlanta being my home state, it was like, wow, I have these amazing women right in my backyard. So it was amazing to watch, and I encourage all of the younger kids to go back and watch that '96 Olympics team. They will really see the hard work, the grit, the determination, and the fight to win the gold.
Agreed. That must have been amazing. Just being so close to that atmosphere, and just like Natalie said, you'll find some games on YouTube. Just go check it out. That'd be very much worth your while. Natalie, I want you to talk about your college career. You were very successful just in terms of your playing career. Can you kind of just tie how that influenced your transition into what you're doing now with the WNBA? How important that base was, not only in terms of your success on the court but off the court as well, into your transition into management of kind of the next generation of this WNBA players.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable career. Very, very fortunate and blessed to attend HBCU, Florida A&M. I tell you, I didn't know until I actually stepped on campus that the opportunity to graduate and earn my bachelor's and my master's in sports management from Florida A&M University was going to pay off in this way. I'll be forever indebted to that university. But basically, I mentioned earlier about basketball is my passion, and I wanted to really find ways to continue to be around the game. My idea, the WNBA wasn't around when I graduated. From college. I graduated in '95, and so the WNBA wasn't around. So it was basically all the players going overseas. So the opportunity for me to continue to be around the game came with sports management. I knew I wanted to be in sports. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And but having the Nike graduate internship really, really helped catapult my career and had me thinking more on the business side in regards to what I wanted to do. And then here comes the WNBA, and I was saying that was the perfect platform that aligned with my passion for sports and my passion for inspiring youth, and that's why the WNBA became very important. And I took that leap of faith to join then the Atlanta Dream foundation before transitioning on to the Los Angeles Sparks in 2018. But my college career, basically, I love to play. One thing about me was academics and basketball. Yeah. So I had both best of the both worlds. And when you're playing, you don't think about setting steals records, breaking these records, doing these things. You just want to play. You just want to play. So one thing that I enjoyed is playing, and then I was a mentor in some of the underserved communities in Tallahassee, Florida, that I still keep in touch with until today. So my college career basically just kind of helped shape and mold me as the leader I am today. Because I really had a strong village, Justin. To be honest with you, I had a strong village. I really took the opportunity to do informational interviews. I love the background story of individuals. So somebody, if they're successful now, how did you get to that point? And that's some of the things that I did. The sports information director, at the time there, Michelle Jinks, really put us in front of the camera, made us feel comfortable with talking about our dreams and our goal and our aspirations and the things that we want to do and how we are role models and how we inspire, young girls and boys. But sports management was my catapult to going to the WNBA. Well, first of all, a 10-year career at Nike Incorporated, and then going on to the WNBA. And at first, to be honest with you, Justin, I thought I wanted to be a GM. So that was my main focus going in as a general manager. But what I was able to do is learn every aspect of the business on the business side and basketball operations. So I got a chance to be VP of basketball operations, and then I was like, you know, I think I really want to stay on the business side. There was a lot of opportunities. I wanted to really, really be a true asset in the community and to really encourage corporations, organizations to invest in the invest in women's sports. So each year, I became more and more motivated in that field.
Natalie, can you take us back when the pandemic first hit? And from a business perspective, I mean, that must have been a thing that's rocked your world in terms of what happened just from everything. So, how was you able to pivot? Because I felt like, at least from a television standpoint, the pandemic was actually a huge benefit for the WNBA in terms of the wobble, in terms of the attention, and then everything moving forward in terms of just the jersey reveals, just like the schedule being revealed. This something you think would be really simple. That was just really cool in terms of what happened on Twitter. So can you just kind of take us through when the pandemic first hit to now, in terms of finally getting fans into the stands? What was kind of your game plan, and what has it felt, finally reaching this point where you can finally kind of get back to normal again?
Yeah, you know what, Justin, that's a great question. I'm going to take you back a little bit in regards to,
Sure.
first of all, in the wobble. Obviously, a lot more eyeballs were on the game. People who never watched the game had more opportunities to see these fascinating women play and lend into the ratings of up 68% in 2020. But prior to the bubble, I mean, for the Los Angeles Sparks, I mean, we were coming off of from a business side, one of our most amazing years from a business perspective. We were franchise of the year. We were back to back ticket sales, led the league in ticket sales, um, and then we had the marketing, number one in marketing. So it was a lot of momentum. We were truly excited for 2020. Big plans in regards to our fans, in regards to just what our team was going to look like on the court. And then in social media, the digital world just has blossomed, has really, really catapulted. We have fans all over the world. And so then the pandemic hits and we had to pivot. In the bubble, I had one business side staff in the bubble because it was limited to who could go. Um, Even though it was very, very challenging for someone to be there away from their family, away from their friends, and just a whole new environment, um, it really opened our eyes to a lot of things and opportunities for us to tell more stories about our players, the access that we had, the day to day, the behind the scenes, all of those things that fans love. We were able to capture and post that on our social media and share those stories. So now from the business side, it's more so, okay, now we have to make sure that we stay engaged with our season ticket holders. And so we did watch parties. We got a chance to do Zoom meetings with players. We worked with our head athletic trainer, Dr. Courtney Watson, in meeting with our season ticket holders to talk about health and wellness. So we did a lot of things to keep them engaged because we knew that they wouldn't get a chance to see a live game in 2020. So we started planning in regards to not knowing that the pandemic would last as long, but it was more so about, how can we successfully acclimate our fans back into, live arena. So basically, we just had to sit and think about some things, taking some of the things that we did in the bubble, continue that from a social media perspective, because the access to our players is what the fans absolutely love. And then we pretty much started to, kind of look at different tiers in regards to we're going to be 15% capacity, 20% capacity, 50% capacity. And we're still navigating through that right now. Actually, on June 3rd, it will be our first game with actual fans.
Oh wow,
So it's going to be an awesome opportunity. So
I
they
bet.
are eager, they are anxious. They've been watching on League Pass, on TV, all of last year and leading up to now. And we've only played two games, but they're excited, and we're excited for them as well to get our fans back in, and it'll be a great boost and motivator for our team as well.
What aspects of the league do you think has room for growth? Because for me personally, from a television perspective, I've seen a lot of growth, particularly the way ESPN covers the game, where you might see one highlight or even barely that. So now you have Sports Nation, you have even First Take, a lot of those shows covering the WNBA and finally taking the league seriously after all these years. So
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like the wobble was a massive turning point in that. But what are things that you think are kind of the next in terms of evolution, in terms of that, in terms of the league, in terms of the fan experience that you find that fans may not be getting compared to their NBA counterparts or any other sport? Where do you think kind of that room for growth? Where do you see those areas of improvement you seek?
You know what? I want to go back to one thing you mentioned, the Wubble, and how things kind of catapulted from there. But I would say that it starts with the players and with the Say Her Name campaign. I
Yeah.
think it starts with there and how they've been so outspoken, and when we've been so supportive in our players leading the charge with systemic racism and sexism, and just pay equity, all those things. And I think that it got a lot of people attention, a lot of things people knew, and a lot of things they didn't know. So this was the great opportunity to get exposure for our players and understanding that they have a voice, and they are amazing. And they are amazing. They just don't play basketball. They're broadcasters. They're moms. They're in different fields that people only thought that maybe after they play basketball, what else did they do?
Yeah.
But I think from a lead perspective, it's all about growth and visibility and how it's being marketed. As you saw that the WNBA signed a partnership with Google and over 100 nationally televised games. So that exposure piece. So it does. So wherever you are, you should be able to catch a WNBA game. And we all know that the more visibility you get, the more people watch the game, the more interest it gathers. And it's the perfect time for organizations and corporations to invest in women's sports, invest in the WNBA because from the community aspect and the impact that it drives, they won't regret it.
Now, I want to ask you a question I've been seeing floated on social media. And if you tell me this is a ridiculous question, please, by all means. But
Okay.
I heard a lot of journalists pushing for the expansion of the league just due to uh, lots of talented players and so many limited roster spots. Is that something from a business perspective that would be healthy for the WNBA, or do you think it should be kind of a pause on that way of thinking in terms of league expansion?
I think as the league continues to grow, obviously there are teams that started out that there are no longer, but there is enough talent, so we're not short on talent. The 144 women definitely can be increased, but I think the most important thing is having a healthy league, meaning that every individual team is healthy and is on a path to profitability. I think that's what makes the difference because if you have teams that or from a fan from attendance perspective or from ticket sales perspective, if they are not producing, they're not able to continue to have gains each and year over year, that affects the bottom line. And we all know that this is a business, so we want to make sure that we want to have a long-standing league. So there's a pace to the growth of it, and I think the commissioner is doing a great job with navigating that space. It's great to know and to see that there's a lot of interest. I can name a few states right now that would really do well with the WNBA team based off of the college basketball attendance. But we want to make sure that we move in a pace that is healthy and that we're not leaving any teams behind. It's a lot of hard work. I tell people this is probably the hardest job that I ever done in my life compared to being at Nike because it's more grassroots. It's more grassroots, and you truly the impact is there. It's rewarding in that perspective. But I think that if more people believe in the WNBA, believe in the women on and off the court, and how they can motivate and how they can inspire young girls and young boys, they will pay more attention to it. And then they can go out and say and demand it, like, hey, we want a team. I want a team in my backyard because I didn't have a WNBA team to watch growing up, but now these young girls do. And it has made a difference. It has truly made a difference. So I look forward to seeing that growth. I would say definitely my projection within the next 3 to 4 years.
Wow, that's for certainly fantastic to hear. My hometown's Albuquerque, New Mexico, and has a huge
I've
women's
been there.
college basketball presence. So I've always been pushing one day maybe there should be a WNBA team there. So hopefully that becomes reality someday. But Natalie, one last question for you. What
Okay.
advice would you give to a young person? I think you could have mentioned it earlier, but if you could expand on, following your footsteps, you kind of have like a blueprint of how a person may want to aspire to be a GM or be in your type of role, really in any type
Mhm.
of sport. What kind of advice would you give them? Hey, if they're just in college or even in high school, they don't know where to start. What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I would start with the players who say that they want to be in the WNBA. The first thing I encourage them to do is watch the WNBA, watch the games. I find that there are a lot of young girls who don't watch basketball. So I mentioned earlier about once I identified what it is I wanted to do, I researched different people within the space where I aspired to be, where I wanted to be. So I would say number one is watch women's basketball. I know you watch the NBA. I know you may have more catered to the LeBrons, but watch the WNBA. Watch the WNBA, and then also in regards to getting into sports management, there are a lot of areas that people don't know about, and that's why we do shadow opportunities for young girls and young boys through our program for them to learn more about the different careers, if whether it's in PR and media, sponsorship, partnership, community relations, marketing, ticket sales. Everybody thinks ticket sales first, and they say I want to get my feet wet. I want to get in through ticket sales. There's more opportunities. So the more people learn about, we just don't show up at the arena and put on these games. It's a whole department in game operations, that puts on, a magnificent show. And I must say, applaud us. We got one of the best fan experiences in the WNBA. So yeah, so there are different career opportunities that young kids, they just don't know about, and we make a conscious effort, to share that with them and give them the opportunity to speak with the department heads about why they do what they do and what their day to day looks like. Um, and then informational interviews. A lot of us, we welcome. We are mentors. Right now, Zoom has been. I'm used to it now. Zoom is like my best friend. StreamYard. You know,
Yep.
so do informational interviews. It's nothing to ask, on LinkedIn or email within the organization. Is, hey, can I have 30 minutes of your time? And be prepared. Have those questions, understanding that you may not know exactly what you want to do, but by asking those questions, it can help you make a decision in regards to if you're transitioning from high school to college, or graduating from college and looking for that career opportunity. So I would say be prepared, and do your homework. Truly reach out. I know, I make myself available, and I try to answer every email, every LinkedIn message, that I can, because I know I was once there, and I didn't get to where I am by myself. I had help. I mentioned that village earlier, and it takes us to help the other young girls and young boys, get to where they want to be.
Well, Natalie, thank you very much for appearing on the show. Can you please let our listeners, and our viewers know where they can find you on social media? And then also, just please plug that date again when fans will be allowed in the stands for the Sparks home game there, and anything else you want our listeners and viewers to know about.
Yes, I want everybody to know that, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary. We're one of three teams in the W, that's been around for 25 years. So it's a lot of exciting things that we have in store. We have our 25th anniversary commemorative, box, that we encourage all of our fans to visit our website, lasparks.com, and follow us on social media. So if you're a young fan, that you're into TikTok, or you want to know about, information in regards to the five pillars and what we're focusing on, or if your organization or corporation interested in partnering and investing, with the LA Sparks, um, please visit our website. Visit our website. And for all the fans that are in LA, if you're visiting this summer, we are back open live with seats available, for our June 3rd game. More to come on that. We'll be opening up to the public within the next few days. But like I said, make sure you tune in, and stay connected with us on LA Sparks.com for more information. But we're looking forward to welcoming our fans back on June 3rd, which also we will be doing a tribute to Simone Augustus in her retirement and transition to now an assistant coach.
Great. Well, Natalie, thank you very much for appearing on the show, taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Justin, for having me. This was fun. Thank you.